Long before the first ships sailed from Europe, before the echoes of colonial ambitions reached the Atlantic, a vast land thrived in silence. This land was Brazil, immense, untamed, and filled with life in forms that would astonish the world. Stretching over 6 million square kilometers, it is a continent within a continent. Rivers wind like silver threads through dense forests, mountains rise like sentinels above the horizon, and the air carries the whispers of millions of years of evolution. The Amazon, the largest rainforest on Earth, is the heart of this country, a place where the canopy is so thick that sunlight barely touches the forest floor, where rivers teem with creatures both strange and magnificent, and where the delicate balance of life has endured for millennia. Each leaf, each insect, each animal plays a role in this ancient web of life. Here, the world breathes. The forest itself, alive and breathing, sustains not only Brazil but the entire planet. But Brazil was not an empty land. Long before the Europeans arrived, countless indigenous peoples called it home. The Tupi, Guarani, Xavante, Kayapo, Yanomami, and many other tribes lived in harmony with the rhythms of the land. They hunted, fished, and farmed. They moved with the seasons and the rivers, understanding the patterns of rain, the growth of plants, the migrations of animals. Their knowledge of the forest was profound. They knew which plants could heal, which rivers provided sustenance, and which paths led to safety or danger. Their culture, their stories, their songs were inseparable from the landscape itself. These communities built societies without cities as we know them, yet their villages thrived. They carved intricate trails through dense forests, created art from natural resources, and wove myths that explained the movements of stars, the cycles of the moon, and the spirits of the forest. Each tribe, each village, held wisdom passed down through countless generations. To walk the lands of Brazil during this time was to step into a living library of knowledge, a testament to human ingenuity and adaptation. The land itself shaped the people. The Amazon and its tributaries were highways, the Cerrado's vast plains were hunting grounds, the Atlantic coast provided fish and shelter, and the mountains offered refuge. Nature was both teacher and protector, offering abundance but demanding respect. Survival depended on understanding the environment, a lesson learned not in books, but in life itself. Even the climate dictated the rhythms of life. The wet season brought torrents of rain that could swell rivers and reshape the landscape. The dry season forced careful planning and adaptation. The forest, the savannas, the mountains, and the rivers all demanded a deep, intuitive understanding, an awareness of cycles, of balance, of the unseen forces that governed life. It was a land of contrasts. Sunlight breaking through the dense canopy, mist rising from the river at dawn, the roar of jaguars in the night, the iridescent flash of macaws overhead, all painted a picture of a world at once serene and wild, delicate yet formidable. Every moment was a testament to the raw beauty and complexity of Brazil's environment. In this vast wilderness, humans were not conquerors but participants. They lived within the rhythms of the land, not above them. Their songs mimicked the calls of birds, their rituals reflected the movement of the stars, and their communities celebrated the cycles of growth and decay. Life was a partnership, fragile, resilient, and intertwined with every living being. Thus, before the age of exploration and empire, Brazil existed as a masterpiece of natural and human harmony. The forests were alive with stories, the rivers carried memories, the mountains held secrets. This was a land before time, a world untouched by foreign ambition, a stage set for the drama of life that would unfold across centuries. The year was 1500. The horizon, endless and shimmering, held the sails of the Portuguese fleet. Pedro Álvares Cabral and his crew had crossed the Atlantic, unaware of the vast lands that awaited them. The moment their ships touched the Brazilian coast, history began to change, not just for the land, but for the world. This was the beginning of an era marked by exploration, ambition, and the collision of worlds. For centuries, Brazil would become a stage for conquest and commerce, a place where cultures collided, merged, and were forever transformed. The lush forests, the winding rivers, and the seemingly infinite coastline promised wealth and opportunity to those who sought it. But the cost of that promise would be immense. Sugar, the white gold of the era, became the engine of colonization. The Portuguese quickly recognized the fertile lands along the coast as ideal for plantations. Vast fields of sugarcane spread across the landscape, green waves stretching as far as the eye could see. But sugar required labor, and not all labor was freely given. The forced arrival of millions of Africans in chains marked the beginning of a painful chapter in Brazil's story, one that would leave scars still visible today. The arrival of Europeans did not erase the indigenous peoples, but it reshaped their world irrevocably. Diseases, unfamiliar weapons, and the pressures of colonial expansion brought devastation. Yet the resilience of native communities endured. Some adapted, some resisted, some fled deeper into the forests. And through this tumultuous period, a new society slowly began to emerge, one defined by mixing cultures, languages, and traditions. The Portuguese brought their language, their religion, and their customs. The Africans brought strength, rhythm, and a deep spiritual heritage. The indigenous peoples held knowledge of the land, medicine, and survival. Together, often unwillingly, they forged a unique identity, a Brazilian identity. It was a tapestry woven from pain and resilience, oppression and creativity, survival and hope. Trade became the lifeblood of this new colony. Ports bustled with goods, sugar, gold, and later, coffee, spices, timber, and exotic plants traveled across oceans. Cities like Salvador and Rio de Janeiro grew from small settlements into bustling hubs of commerce, culture, and power. The rhythms of the Atlantic world dictated life, connecting Brazil to Europe, Africa, and beyond. The tides of trade brought both prosperity and peril, shaping not only the economy but also the social fabric of the nation. Yet Brazil's story during this period was not only one of wealth and conquest. It was also a story of resistance, of courage, and of adaptation. Indigenous uprisings, slave rebellions, and covert acts of defiance challenged the colonial order. Hidden in the forests, communities preserved languages, rituals, and traditions, ensuring that the soul of Brazil remained alive despite external pressures. The land itself witnessed transformation. Rivers were charted, forests cleared, and plantations built. But nature, resilient and vast, remained ever present. The Atlantic winds carried the scent of salt and opportunity. The rains nourished both the forests and the crops. The sun rose and set over a land caught between ancient rhythms and new ambitions. By the end of this era, Brazil was no longer simply a distant land of forests and rivers. It had become a crucible, a place where peoples, cultures, and economies collided and fused. It was a land of contrasts, freedom and oppression, wealth and poverty, nature and human ambition. And it was only beginning to reveal its complexity to the world. As the 17th century approached, Brazil would continue to grow, expand, and evolve. New settlements would rise, new crops would be planted, and new generations would inherit a nation shaped by both suffering and hope. This was the age of trade and tides. As the centuries passed, Brazil transformed not only through trade and conquest but through the heartbeat of its people. From the bustling streets of coastal cities to the hidden villages deep within the forests, a culture emerged that was vibrant, resilient, and uniquely Brazilian. It was a culture that carried the echoes of the past while shaping the possibilities of the future. Music is perhaps the most vivid expression of this identity. Samba, born in the African communities of Bahia, is more than rhythm, it is history, memory, and resistance woven into every step. The drumbeats tell stories of hardship and triumph, of the pain of displacement and the joy of survival. In the streets of Salvador and Rio de Janeiro, samba is both a celebration and a reminder, connecting generations across centuries. Capoeira, the martial art disguised as dance, embodies this same duality. It is fluid, powerful, and rhythmic, moving with the grace of dancers and the precision of warriors. Developed by enslaved Africans as a means of defense and cultural preservation, capoeira turned oppression into art, struggle into expression. Today, it stands as a symbol of resilience, a bridge between the past and the present. Brazilian culture is not only performed in cities. The rhythms of the land, the voices of indigenous peoples, and the spiritual practices of Afro-Brazilian religions carry the essence of this nation. Candomblé and Umbanda are more than faiths, they are living connections to ancestry, to nature, and to the unseen forces that shape life. Rituals, chants, and dances serve as vessels for memory, guiding communities in harmony with the cycles of the natural world. Language itself reflects the complex history of Brazil. Portuguese serves as the thread that unites a diverse population, yet within it are echoes of Africa, indigenous tongues, and immigrant influences. Words borrowed, transformed, and adapted reveal stories of migration, survival, and cultural blending. Each region has its own accent, idiom, and musicality, a testament to the local histories that continue to shape identity. Food, too, is culture on the plate. Feijoada, a rich stew of beans, meat, and spices, tells of colonial legacies, African ingenuity, and communal dining. Street food, prepared in bustling markets and by roadside vendors, reveals both creativity and resourcefulness. In every meal, there is a story of survival, adaptation, and celebration. The arts, painting, sculpture, literature, flourish alongside music and dance. Modernist movements in São Paulo and Rio challenged tradition, yet remained rooted in Brazilian realities, the favelas, the forests, the rivers, the streets alive with human experience. Artists translated life into color, form, and words, offering windows into the soul of the nation. Sports, too, carry cultural significance. Football, more than a game, is a religion in Brazil. Streets, beaches, and stadiums become arenas where joy, skill, and identity converge. Legendary players rise not only for fame but as symbols of national pride, unity, and aspiration. Every goal, every pass, every celebration is a note in the symphony of Brazilian life. The diversity of culture mirrors the diversity of the land. From the southern pampas to the Amazon basin, from the urban chaos of São Paulo to the serene coastal towns, each place contributes its voice. Festivals, markets, dances, and rituals create a living mosaic, constantly shifting yet anchored in deep roots. And yet, Brazilian culture is not merely celebratory. It is reflective, critical, and at times defiant. Through music, literature, and art, people confront inequality, environmental destruction, and social injustice. Culture becomes a medium for dialogue, resistance, and hope, a tool to imagine a better future while honoring the past. In every rhythm, in every movement, in every song and story, the essence of Brazil is revealed, a nation that survives through adaptation, thrives through creativity, and endures through resilience. Culture is the bridge between nature and humanity, between history and tomorrow. It is both mirror and compass, showing where Brazil has been and pointing toward where it might go. This chapter in Brazil's story reminds us that history is not only measured by conquest and trade but by the intangible heartbeat of its people. The rhythms of culture, persistent, evolving, and vibrant, are what truly define this remarkable nation. By the early 19th century, Brazil was no longer merely a colony, it was on the cusp of transformation. The winds of change swept across its vast territories, carried by ideas of freedom, independence, and self-determination. Yet, unlike the violent revolutions that shook other lands, Brazil's path to independence was marked by negotiation, diplomacy, and careful strategy. In 1822, a prince named Dom Pedro declared Brazil independent from Portugal. With a simple yet powerful proclamation, he set in motion the birth of a nation. The empire that emerged was unique, a monarchy in the Americas, bridging old world traditions with new world ambitions. The streets of Rio de Janeiro and Salvador witnessed celebrations and uncertainty alike, as citizens grappled with the meaning of freedom, loyalty, and national identity. The empire was only the beginning. Brazil's vast landscapes presented both opportunity and challenge. Coffee plantations flourished in the highlands, becoming the backbone of the economy. Railroads and ports connected distant cities, encouraging trade and communication across the immense territory. Yet growth was uneven. Coastal cities thrived while the interior remained sparsely populated, inhabited largely by indigenous peoples, escaped slaves, and small communities forging lives at the margins. The abolition of slavery in 1888 marked another turning point. Centuries of forced labor had built the wealth of Brazil. Yet the end of slavery opened the door to new social dynamics. Freed people sought work, land, and equality, navigating a society still deeply divided by class, race, and region. Immigration waves from Europe, Japan, and the Middle East added layers of complexity and diversity, reshaping cities, industries, and cultural landscapes. The transition from empire to republic in 1889 brought with it both hope and uncertainty. Brasilia, the planned capital of the 20th century, would later rise as a symbol of modernist dreams, a city built from scratch in the heart of the Cerrado, designed to unify the nation geographically and politically. But the early republic was turbulent, defined by political experimentation, regional conflicts, and debates over the future of governance. Brazil's natural environment also shaped its development. Rivers became highways for goods and people. Forests supplied timber, medicinal plants, and fertile soil for cultivation. Mountains offered refuge and natural borders. The interplay between geography and society molded settlement patterns, economies, and cultural identities. Even as cities expanded, the pulse of nature remained ever present, a constant companion to human ambition. This was a period of contrasts. Wealthy elites in grand estates and urban centers lived amidst luxury, while workers, farmers, and indigenous communities faced hardship and marginalization. Education, infrastructure, and political representation were concentrated in certain regions, leaving others to struggle for recognition and opportunity. Yet despite these challenges, Brazil continued to grow, driven by ingenuity, labor, and the hope of a shared future. Art and literature flourished, reflecting the tensions and aspirations of a young nation. Writers captured the landscapes, the struggles, and the beauty of Brazil. Painters depicted everyday life, urban growth, and the natural wonders that defined the land. Music evolved, blending European, African, and indigenous traditions, creating genres that would define the nation's soul. As the 20th century approached, Brazil stood as a nation of immense potential. Its identity was a mosaic, forged from conquest, resistance, migration, and adaptation. The people carried memories of colonization, slavery, and struggle, but also dreams of progress, unity, and creativity. The foundations of modern Brazil were being laid, a nation seeking to reconcile its history with the promise of the future. In every city, village, and forest, Brazil was awakening to its destiny. The birth of the nation was not a single moment but a long, complex process, one defined by negotiation, perseverance, and the relentless spirit of its people. This chapter of history reminds us that nations are built not only through declarations or revolutions but through the quiet, persistent work of generations shaping identity, culture, and society. No story of Brazil is complete without the Amazon, the beating heart of the nation, and one of the most extraordinary ecosystems on Earth. Covering over 6 million square kilometers, the Amazon basin is home to more than half of the world's remaining tropical rainforest. Its rivers, winding like liquid veins, nourish life in ways both visible and unseen, shaping the climate and sustaining biodiversity far beyond its borders. From the air, the forest appears as an endless sea of green, broken only by rivers glinting in the sunlight. But beneath the canopy, life thrives in abundance. Towering trees, some centuries old, rise like ancient cathedrals. Epiphytes cling to branches, orchids bloom in hidden corners, and lianas twist in complex patterns, connecting one part of the forest to another. Every layer of the Amazon is alive, every inch a universe of interaction, survival, and adaptation. The rivers teem with creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Pink river dolphins glide through muddy waters, caimans patrol the banks. And schools of fish navigate flooded forests during the rainy season. Jaguars prowl in the shadows, their golden eyes reflecting the dappled sunlight. Macaws, toucans, and countless birds color the sky with feathers brighter than any painter's palette. Insects, millions of species, hum, crawl, and pollinate, creating a delicate balance that has endured for millennia. The Amazon is not merely a collection of plants and animals, it is the lungs of the planet. The forest produces an immense quantity of oxygen, absorbs carbon dioxide, and regulates weather patterns not only in Brazil but around the globe. Its influence stretches across continents, affecting rainfall in distant lands and helping sustain agricultural and ecological systems far beyond its boundaries. Yet, this paradise is fragile. Deforestation, illegal logging, mining, and industrial agriculture threaten the forest at an unprecedented scale. Fires, both natural and man-made, consume vast swaths of land, leaving scars on the landscape and jeopardizing the delicate balance of life. Scientists warn that continued destruction could push the Amazon past a tipping point, transforming it from a vibrant forest into a degraded savanna, with consequences felt worldwide. Amidst this struggle, the indigenous peoples of the Amazon remain its vigilant guardians. Tribes such as the Kayapo, Yanomami, and Munduraku possess knowledge passed down over generations, wisdom of plants, animals, rivers, and celestial patterns. They understand which species heal, which paths are safe, and how the forest communicates its rhythms. Their voices are essential, their stewardship a bulwark against ecological collapse. Protecting their rights and lands is not just a moral imperative but a global necessity. The Amazon is a world within a world, vast, complex, and mesmerizing. Each river bend, each clearing, each hidden waterfall tells a story older than human history. It is a reminder of the power, resilience, and fragility of life. Explorers, scientists, and travelers who venture into its depths quickly realize that this is no ordinary forest. It is an ecosystem of unparalleled richness, a living laboratory, and a sanctuary for the soul. As dawn breaks over the canopy, mist rises from the river like a living veil. The forest awakens to a symphony of sounds, the calls of birds, the rustle of leaves, the movement of creatures unseen. Each sound is a note in a complex composition, an ongoing dialogue between life forms, climate, and the land itself. It is a rhythm that has persisted through ice ages, climate shifts, and human intrusion. It is the voice of the earth. The Amazon teaches a vital lesson: Brazil's identity is inseparable from its environment. Its forests, rivers, and wildlife are not resources to be exploited, but treasures to be understood, respected, and preserved. The health of the nation, and indeed the planet, is intertwined with the fate of these ancient trees, the flowing rivers, and the communities that call this forest home. In the story of Brazil, the Amazon stands as both a source of awe and a call to action. It is a reminder that progress must coexist with preservation, that human ambition must be tempered with responsibility. As the world watches, the future of the Amazon will define not only Brazil but the generations of life that follow. Brazil is a nation of extremes, not only in its landscapes but in its cities. From the coastal beauty of Rio de Janeiro to the bold modernism of Brasilia, urban life in Brazil is a story of contrasts, between wealth and poverty, tradition and innovation, celebration and struggle. Rio de Janeiro, the marvelous city, is a place of breathtaking scenery. Sugarloaf Mountain rises dramatically above the bay, while Christ the Redeemer watches over millions below. The beaches of Copacabana and Ipanema teem with life, where sunbathers, street vendors, and musicians mingle under the tropical sun. Yet behind this postcard-perfect image lies a city divided. Favelas cling to hillsides, homes built from concrete and tin, where families live in precarious conditions, far from the luxury and security of the city's affluent neighborhoods. Life here is a constant negotiation, between opportunity and survival, between joy and hardship. Brasilia, in contrast, is a testament to human ambition and planning. Built in the 1960s in the heart of the Cerrado, it was designed to unify the nation geographically and politically. Wide avenues, futuristic architecture, and open spaces give the city an air of order and vision. Yet Brasilia is more than concrete and design, it is a city of people, dreams, and tensions. The contrast between the city's architectural ideals and the lived realities of its citizens reflects a broader truth about Brazil: progress is often accompanied by paradox. São Paulo, Brazil's financial powerhouse, is another story entirely. Skyscrapers pierce the sky, industries hum, and commerce flows ceaselessly. Millions of residents navigate a sprawling metropolis of opportunity and inequality. Here, culture thrives in music, theaters, galleries, and cuisine from every corner of the globe. Yet the city's frenetic pace and social disparities reveal the challenges of urbanization, congestion, crime, and the struggle for housing and services. In every region, cities reflect the unique blend of geography, history, and culture. The northern cities carry the rhythm of the Amazon, rivers shaping transportation and commerce. The southern cities echo European influences in architecture, festivals, and customs. Coastal towns retain centuries-old fishing traditions, while inland cities push the boundaries of agriculture, industry, and science. Brazilian cities are also cultural stages. Festivals such as Carnival transform streets into oceans of color, music, and movement. Parades, dancers, and musicians weave narratives of history, faith, and identity. The urban landscape becomes both performance and participant, hosting traditions that are centuries old while embracing contemporary creativity. Yet the contrasts are stark. The same city may host luxury shopping districts alongside sprawling informal settlements. Modern highways intersect with historic streets. Skyscrapers overshadow colonial churches. In these spaces, Brazil's story unfolds, a nation navigating rapid modernization, global influence, and enduring inequality. The people of these cities embody resilience and creativity. Artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, and workers transform challenges into opportunity, finding expression in the vibrancy of urban life. Communities form networks of support, culture, and resistance, ensuring that life continues to flourish even in the face of social and economic hardship. Ultimately, Brazil's cities are microcosms of the nation itself. They are places where nature meets human ambition, where tradition confronts innovation, and where hope persists amidst difficulty. From Rio to São Paulo, Brasilia to Recife, each urban center reflects a different facet of Brazil's complex identity, a land of contrast, beauty, and possibility. The story of Brazil cannot be told without its cities. They are engines of culture, economy, and social change. They are mirrors of inequality and innovation, hardship and triumph. Within their streets, Brazil's past and future converge, offering lessons in resilience, creativity, and the enduring power of human spirit. From the dense, mysterious heart of the Amazon to the vibrant streets of Rio de Janeiro, from the rhythms of samba and capoeira to the soaring dreams of Brasilia. Brazil is more than a country, it is a story of life itself. A story of resilience, creativity, and boundless energy. A land where nature and humanity coexist in astonishing beauty, where history and modernity collide, and where every river, forest, and city whispers the heartbeat of a nation. We've journeyed across time and space, through the lands before time, the age of exploration, the rise of cities, and the pulse of its people. We've witnessed challenges, triumphs, and the enduring spirit that makes Brazil unique. And now, as our journey comes to an end, we invite you to carry this story with you. Share it, reflect on it, and be inspired by the resilience of a nation that continues to shape its own destiny. If you've enjoyed this journey through Brazil, don't forget to give this video a like. Subscribe to our channel to explore more incredible stories from around the world. And hit the notification bell, so you'll never miss a voyage into the wonders of our planet. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep discovering the beauty that lies in every corner of the earth.